The steak on my plate was still sizzling when it happened. Medium rare, perfectly charred, fork halfway to my mouth. And then Ryan stood up like he was about to do one of his victory laps. "We did it," he said, raising his glass. "Biggest logistics close of the quarter." Everyone clapped, a few guys even whooped. I nodded, chewed, figured we'd toast the client and move on. "My team," Ryan went on, "has been essential. Well, most of them." He grinned, eyes darting around the table. "Some just don't fit where we're going. Sometimes dead weight slows the machine." People laughed. That kind of awkward, not sure if it's a joke laugh. Then Ryan looked straight at me. "Doug Rayner," he said, "is no longer with the company, effective immediately." Laughter died fast. It got quiet, fast enough to feel it in my chest. You could hear the clink of silverware hitting plates. "He's a smart guy," Ryan continued, like I wasn't even sitting 3 feet away. "But a misfit for the direction we're heading, and we need acceleration, not friction." I didn't move. My fork was still in the air. My hand didn't even shake. It just froze. I looked down the table. Julia from compliance looked away. Even the new intern, Mason, wouldn't meet my eyes. The clients looked like they just walked into the wrong funeral. "Let's toast," Ryan finished, raising his glass again. "To momentum." I didn't raise mine. I stood up, slow. I couldn't even feel my legs fully under me. Then a voice cut through the weird silence. "Excuse me, are you the guy who presented that fleet optimization model at the Kansas City Summit 2 years ago?" I turned. It was some guy in a navy suit, 2 tables over. Tailored, older, silver hair. "Yeah," I said, still numb. He nodded, slid something across the gap between tables. "Wes Grant, Wakefield Capital, 9 a.m. I looked down. Business card, heavy stock, raised lettering. That was it. He didn't say anything else, just nodded once and went back to his drink. I didn't say goodbye. I didn't pack up. I didn't touch the steak. I walked out of that place like I was on autopilot, face hot, ears ringing. Heart somewhere between my stomach and the floor. The card was still in my hand. I held it like it was oxygen, like it might stop the shaking if I gripped it hard enough. Quick note, before we go deeper, tell us which city or country you're watching from. I sat on the edge of my bed all night with the card still in my hand. I didn't even kick my shoes off. My inbox was blowing up. People I hadn't heard from in months suddenly checking in, saying, "Tough break, man," or "Hit me up if you want to talk." They weren't fooling anyone. Half of them had probably clapped at that dinner. Some were worse. Recruiters and ex-colleagues smelling blood in the water, acting like they were doing me a favor. "Heard what happened, man. Let's circle up soon." One guy even said, "Sometimes you gotta get pushed off the ledge to realize you can fly." I wanted to reply, "You're a mid-level account manager. Shut the hell up." But I didn't. I didn't reply to any of them. Around 5 a.m., I showered, shaved, put on a clean button-down. My hands were still trembling. The card was in my wallet, like it might vanish if I stopped checking every few minutes. At 8:45, I walked through the glass doors of Wakefield Capital's building in downtown Chicago. Sleek, clean, quiet. The kind of place where the carpet feels like money, and even the air conditioning sounds smart. The woman at the front desk barely glanced at me until I said, "I'm here for Wes Grant." She stood up fast after that. "17th floor. He's expecting you." I stepped into the elevator, tried to breathe, failed. Doors opened to a floor full of wood paneling and silence. The receptionist didn't ask who I was, just nodded toward an open office down the hall. Wes Grant didn't shake my hand, didn't offer coffee, just motioned for me to sit. "You built something 5 years ahead of what's out there," he said, dead serious. "I've seen the notes." He dropped a folder on the table between us. I opened it, my handwriting, my diagrams, routing logic in black pen, flowcharts with red Sharpie marks. One page had a ring from a coffee cup. I remembered making that stain during an all-nighter in 21. "They watered this down," he said, "turned it into a pitch deck for suits. But underneath, this is real, this is yours." I didn't know what to say. He didn't wait for me to figure it out. "I want you to rebuild it," he said. "Exactly how it was meant to be, quietly, funded, secure, total autonomy." I blinked. "What's the catch?" "You disappear," he said. "No LinkedIn, no GitHub, no press, no name." My stomach dropped. "We'll set up a dummy LLC. You'll report through it. No public ties to Wakefield, no press rollouts, not until it's time. Think you can live in the shadows for a while? I stared down at the folder again. It felt like someone had finally dug up the bones of something I buried alive. I'll need a day, I said. You've got an hour. I looked him dead in the eye. Then yes. He slid a thick packet across the table. NDA, funding terms, provisional structure, read it, sign it, leave with it. I didn't read the whole thing, just enough to know I'd be signing my name to something bigger than me. I walked out of that building with the packet in one hand, my old self in the other. By the time I hit the sidewalk, the shame was still there. But it wasn't the only thing. For the first time in months, I felt something cut through it, something sharp, something alive, possibility. I named it Shelf Forge. That was the LLC on paper. Nothing fancy, just a dead simple Delaware shell with no logo, no public trail, no real office. The actual work happened in a third-floor space above a dentist's office in Oak Park. The windows were blacked out. The servers were hardwired and ran on local power. No cloud sync, no backups outside that room. Everything ran silent. I brought in Priya first. She'd built the original routing logic engine with me back when we still believed the company gave a damn. They dumped her last fall. Departmental restructure. She didn't even blink when I called. You still got the sketches? She asked. Better, I said. I've got to go. She quit her contract gig that afternoon. Gabe came next. QA guy. Quiet, ruthless. The type who'd run your code through 6 hell cycles before greenlighting anything. He'd left after some VP told him testing wasn't a value-driving position. His laugh when I called was short and mean. I want in. What name do I use? Something you won't miss, I told him. Rosie joined last. DevOps wizard. Could build a deployment pipeline in her sleep. HR flagged her after she leaked an internal memo proving someone padded uptime reports. She was iced out fast. Showed up to our second meeting wearing a hoodie and holding 2 prepaid phones. This time, she said, we ghost them first. We operated like ghosts. No personal laptops, only burners. No Slack, just encrypted chats through an open-source mesh network. Every comment was signed with aliases. Every log wiped daily. I printed backups and locked them in a bolted drawer with a physical key. We didn't talk much during builds. Every minute counted. I stayed nights, sometimes until the janitor unlocked the stairwell in the morning. I'd watch the prototype quietly reroute loads across simulated lanes, shaving off costs, predicting bottlenecks, dodging weather swings before they hit. It moved like it was alive. Back at the old company, it used to take 10 minutes to calculate a full cross-state fleet shuffle. Now, under 40 seconds. Every time I saw it run clean, I knew. They buried the wrong thing. There were no high fives, no champagne, just a silence that didn't feel empty. It felt earned. Once every few weeks, Grant would call, never more than 5 minutes, always sharp. Numbers look good, he said once, but stay invisible. Your time will come. Another time, I need you to remember, the first time they hear about you can't be from you. He was right. We weren't chasing clout. We were building a loaded weapon, quietly. No funding rounds, no leaks, no pitch decks, just raw progress, line by line. And every night, after the last test passed, I'd sit in the corner, staring at the main dashboard, watching the system route around delays no one else saw coming. It was faster, cleaner, meaner, and it was ours. At 2:17 a.m., my phone buzzed twice and lit up. Rosie, encrypted chat. R, you awake? R, check midline. They dropped Connex. I sat up fast, heart already racing. Midline transit was mid-tier freight, not big enough to draw headlines, but solid, old-school loyal. They'd been on Connex for years. I slid into my rig and ran a trace. The data didn't lie. They'd switched to an agile routing platform 3 days ago. No company name attached, no announcement. But the load optimization fingerprints, that was ours. Clean, tight reroutes every 12 minutes, low error margins, even our anomaly detection tags. Slightly tweaked, but I knew what I was looking at. I pinged the others, me. Midline's using the prototype. It's live. Priya, confirmed. The signature pathing is ours. Gabe, they're not even masking it. Rosie, they wanted it to leak. By sunrise, I'd scraped 6 new pings from regional haulers sniffing around our LLC contact. Not official emails, just curious signals. The kind that said, We heard you're not vaporware. 2 days later, 2 haulers reached out directly. One of them had a COO who whispered like he was dealing with contraband. Your system, Shelf Forge, right? We're interested in a demo. We don't do demos, I said. We run proofs. That's how it started. Whispers in trucker forums, back-end routes quietly shifting, chatter about that ghost platform that didn't go down when storms hit Tulsa or rails froze in Des Moines. By the end of the week, we'd mapped stable lanes in 6 states, quiet launches, no hiccups. Then we saw it. Connex began stripping out features. The old system, the one they'd plastered over my design, was falling apart. APIs breaking, interface rollbacks, route logging throttled. The panic was showing. I got a screen recording from Gabe, company-wide video call. Connor, the boss who tossed me like a wet napkin, was standing in front of a whiteboard, red-faced. This is not sabotage, he said, wagging a marker. It's internal miscommunication, poor documentation from the legacy teams. Interns made changes without oversight. He said the word interns like they were a disease. Priya was watching with me. She leaned over, muttered, "He's got no idea we're already live." I didn't smile, not yet. That night, I got a call from Grant. No hello. Soft entry worked. Are you ready when it's not so soft? I paused just long enough to mean it. Yeah, I said. We're ready. He hung up. The next day, I watched the real-time load reports. We were outperforming Connex by 30 to 40% in core benchmarks. Fuel cost savings, fewer route disruptions, shorter offloads. Even reefer monitoring was tighter, more predictive. But no articles, no press drops, no launches. Just code doing what it was built to do. Just us, working the system like ghosts with a mission. Gabe kept the proof stack running. Rosie managed the secure data tunnels to the haulers. Priya wrote new schema for multi-state load pivots while we slept. No one asked what came next. We were too deep for that. The only thing louder than the numbers was the silence from their side. And I knew that silence wasn't going to last. The envelope landed on my desk like a slap. Heavy cream stock, certified mail. 6 pages inside, stamped with the company's logo across the header. Cease and desist, the first line read. Immediate termination of any ongoing use of proprietary intellectual property belonging to Connex Logistics. I skimmed the rest. IP theft, sabotage, misappropriation of trade secrets, words stacked like bullets. They wanted me to shut down Shelf Forge and hand over everything, code, architecture, even related concepts. I didn't slam the desk. I didn't curse. I just shoved the papers into my bag and drove straight to Grant's office. He read the first page standing up, lips pressed thin. By page 3, he was already dialing. "Morgan," he said into the phone. "Got something for you? We'll meet in 30. He hung up, looked at me. "You're fine. Sit tight." I followed him down the hall to a smaller conference room. Morgan was already there. Short hair, glasses, the kind of calm that scares people more than yelling ever could. She didn't shake my hand either, just slid a legal pad toward her and started reading. Her pen moved fast. "They're accusing him of IP theft?" she asked Grant, though she was looking at me. "Yup." She smirked once, tiny. "This'll be fun." For the next 2 hours, she built a counterstrike, pulling up my original commit logs, timestamps, emails. She asked for every scrap of paper I had, the coffee stain diagrams, the Slack exports I'd saved before they booted me. "You kept all this?" she asked. "Yeah." "Good. They're cooked." By the next morning, a 24-page response went out. Not a letter, a weapon. Every diagram stamped with dates predating Connex's patent filings. Screenshots of me sending designs to management months before they killed the project. Slack logs of my boss calling it Doug's baby. Even a PDF of my old NDA showing no claim to personal IP unless explicitly bought out, which never happened. Morgan didn't just respond. She filed a complaint in Delaware court for fraudulent attribution and misuse of personal IP. "They'll see this on Bloomberg before they see it in their inbox," she told Grant. "Let them choke on their own PR." I sat back in the chair. For the first time since this started, I didn't feel like I was ducking blows. Later that night, an encrypted email hit my burner inbox. No name, just an address I didn't recognize. "They told us you stole RootNet," it read. "Now, I'm not so sure." No signature, just that line. I stared at it, thumb hovering over the reply button, but didn't type. The hum of the servers in the corner filled the room. It wasn't relief. It wasn't even victory. It was something heavier, not survival, power, deliberate, quiet. And it was just starting. I was staring at the screen, rereading that anonymous email, when my phone rang. Burner line, unknown number. I let it ring once before picking up. Doug, it's Mark. I hadn't heard that voice in over a year. Ops guy. Used to be my closest friend in the building, back when I thought loyalty ran both ways. It's bad, he said, voice tight. They're bleeding. How bad? 4 teams cut today, 17 people, clients pulling out, 2 contracts vaporized overnight. Connor's pacing the halls like a lunatic. I'm not even sure who's running routing anymore. I didn't speak. I just figured you should know, he said. These were the same teams that cheered when they dumped me at the steakhouse. Mark exhaled. Not all of us clapped. I didn't answer. I just hung up. The guilt came in anyway, quiet but sharp. These were still people I'd built with, ate lunch with, pulled all-nighters beside. I'd trained half the folks now being walked out with cardboard boxes and zero notice. But then I remembered how they looked away. Every single one of them. Not one person spoke up. Not one said, "This isn't right." And guilt doesn't survive long when you're staring down the same silence they gave you. Later that night, Gabe dropped a link in our encrypted thread. G, Connor's on a podcast. You might want to hear it. I clicked. Connor was sitting across from some generic host, talking like he hadn't just set his own company on fire. We're not shrinking, he said, smug. We're streamlining, clearing out inefficiencies, dead weight. The host nodded along. Connor smiled. Sometimes you have to cut the limbs to save the body. I paused the video. That was the last ember of guilt. Snuffed out. The next day, Rosie pushed fresh data into the stack. Client switchovers are accelerating, she said. 3 new carriers moved full ops over last week, but here's the big one. She slid a file to my side of the screen. Farm RX. I blinked. You serious? They're in stealth, quiet migration, no announcement. Their cold chain division is moving live routing to our system. Farm RX wasn't just a client. They were the client. Pharmaceuticals, temperature-critical shipping, multi-million-dollar contracts. If they were in, even quietly, the tides had already turned. I sat down, pulled out my old notebook, the one I kept during the prototype days, flipped past the pages with old graphs, stress test logs, rejected diagrams, found a clean page, wrote 2 words, finish it, no exclamation point, no underline, just that. Not for revenge, not for applause, clarity. No one's clapping now, no one needs to. We're already winning. The email hit my encrypted inbox at 9:42 a.m. Subject, Julia Hahn, RE, internal routing leak. I read it twice. Investigative reporter said she'd reviewed anonymous internal threads, flagged data suppression, and traced user IDs tied to falsified metrics. Then came the real kicker. We believe what you built was misrepresented, buried, and rebranded under false attribution. Will you talk? I stared at the screen for a long second, then replied with one line. Secure line only, no recordings unless approved. She sent a link 20 minutes later. End-to-end encrypted, timed session. I clicked in. Julia didn't waste time. Mid-30s, sharp eyes, no fluff. She leaned into the camera like she'd already built the story and just needed the last nail. I have access to internal files, she said. Slack threads, deleted tickets, patch notes. Most of it lines up with a whistleblower who tried to come forward last year, but bailed when Connex sent legal after him. She paused. He named you as the original architect. Everything I've seen matches your work, but I need you to confirm it. I didn't blink. I shared my screen. First, the full routing tree sketch, original logic in my handwriting, scanned and time-stamped. Then, the commit logs, schema diffs, my Slack screenshots, the test dashboard showing clean reroutes with my annotations still in the margin. She was quiet the whole time, only nodded. When I stopped, she spoke. You understand what this will do? Yeah. You're sure? Just put the facts out, that's all. I signed the release. 1 sentence on the record. No emotion, just truth. 5 days later, the expose dropped. Buried code: how Connex Logistics erased the man behind RouteNet. Front page of 3 outlets by noon. By dinner, it had gone viral. There was a 3-minute clip embedded in the piece. Just my voice, low and flat. They stripped the core logic and called it something new. They altered the metrics so it looked like performance improved when it hadn't. They buried the real system because it didn't come from their inner circle. That was it. No drama, no anger. Side-by-side screenshots showed my original interface next to their corrupted shell. The differences weren't just cosmetic. They were criminal. The old company's stock tanked within hours. Their PR firm went silent. 3 board members issued dry, useless statements about internal review and integrity-first principles. Grant called. I was still at my desk when the first TikTok hit. Gabe sent it. No subject, just a link. I clicked. A warehouse guy was filming the inside of his reefer trailer. Breath visible, gauges showing -3. Then he flipped the camera to the app on his phone. RouteNet 2.0. The old company's upgrade. It read +12. My trailer says -3, the guy said, grinning. App says +12. Which is it, boss? My lettuce or my lawsuit? 30 seconds. Posted under the tag, Washbar Route Not. By lunchtime, there were 12 more. Wrong readings. Crashed custody chains. Delays logged as early arrivals. One driver filmed a load of vials sweating on a dock with the caption, "Temp logs clean, product spoiled, thanks Connex." Rosie was watching the dashboards, real-time heat maps lighting up red. "They're cooked," she said flatly. "Every cold lane they push 2.0 into is unstable. Custody logs are off by hours. They can't track thermal dips." I opened our alerts. Farm RX, the pharma giant, had just submitted termination of all remaining loads through Connex. Reason listed? Inability to guarantee cold chain integrity. There it was. Rosie pushed her chair back. "We broke them without touching them." "Correction," Gabe said. "They broke themselves. We just let people see it." Internal memos started leaking the next day. Someone inside was pissed. We saw screenshots from company Slack, Connor blaming external forces for the system collapse, claiming industrial sabotage, rogue code injections, cyber attacks. Priya raised an eyebrow when she read it. "That's what he's going with? Sabotage?" "Sure," I said. "It beats admitting you built a house on wet cardboard." One by one, clients started dropping off. Smaller haulers first, then the regional chains, then full-scale logistics networks. By the end of the week, Connex's systems were showing blank reports. No lanes active, routing tables gone, cold chain grids offline, customer service lines rerouted to voicemail. And Connor, he went silent. No public statements, no press, no tweets, no LinkedIn updates. One day he was CEO, the next, quiet. Nobody noticed when Wakefield started the formal rollout. We didn't do a splash launch or flashy demo. No billboards, no headlines. Just quiet handshakes and signed NDAs. One client at a time, clean deployments, stable custody logs, predictive routes holding under pressure. Every time a new lane went live, we didn't celebrate. We watched, just us behind locked doors, seeing the system scale without a sound. The silence didn't feel empty anymore. It felt earned. I was in the office when the Bloomberg alert came through. Connor Maddox removed as CEO, no formal statement issued. That was it. No quote, no press call, no defense. Just a quiet line buried between stock tickers and international fuel rates. Priya saw it too. She looked over the rim of her coffee mug and nodded once. No one else said a word. I leaned back in my chair. The hum of the prototype filled the silence, that soft, rhythmic spin of local servers, doing exactly what they were built to do. The same hum I'd heard the night we first brought the system online in Oak Park. Nothing had changed, and everything had. Grant called an hour later. "You're on the nameplate this time," he said. "Press conference next week." My throat went dry for half a second. For what? The official rollout. 14 states, Tier 1 clients, no more dummy LLC. Time to put your name on it. I didn't say anything. "You earned it," he added. "Don't argue. Just show up." He hung up. I turned back to the wall where the original architecture map was still pinned. The one I drew in ballpoint before any of this started. Half the ink was smudged now, but the logic still held. I pictured Connor sitting in some glass box co-working space, watching the rollout on a cracked iPad, trying to make sense of how he lost control. No courtroom, no speech, just receipts, just results. The team didn't ask for titles or awards. They just kept building. Shelf Forge folded into Wakefield quietly. No headlines. Just a line in a corporate restructuring PDF that no one outside the boardroom would ever read. By the end of the week, our system was live in 14 states. 2 more were in pre-deployment testing. The new client portal bore one change, a single footer line on every page. Architecture design, D. Rayner. That was it. Not a spotlight, just a fact. I kept working. Same office, same chair, same hum in the background. But the ghosts, the weight of what got buried, what they killed, gone. Now it was just what is. No noise, no narrative, just clean tech, cold data, and my name etched where it always belonged. The room was all glass and whispers, no music, no banners, just thin paper lanyards and the quiet weight of capital in suits. New York, upper floor, Midtown View, launch day. Grant stood under the spotlight, not smiling, not stalling. "This," he said, holding up a small black device, "is what cold chain logistics looks like now. And this," he motioned to the side, "is the architect behind the platform that redefined the industry, Doug Rayner." I walked out alone. No applause, just the soft clicks of cameras. The lanyard around my neck read CTO in small block letters. That was enough. I stepped to the mic, looked out at the quiet room. "They told me I was obsolete," I said. I didn't argue. I just built the thing they swore couldn't be built. No one clapped. They just listened. That was better. A woman near the front raised her hand. Press badge. "Was it worth it?" she asked. I didn't pause. All I did was believe they were wrong. That was it. No dramatic turn, no pitch, no slogan. I stepped back, nodded once to Grant, and walked off stage. 4 blocks away, down a side alley in a cracked window co-working space, Connor watched the stream on a beat-up iPad. The battery was at 6%. The Wi-Fi lagged every few seconds. Still, he saw it. My name across the screen, my face steady under the lights. No victory speech, no rage, just presence. Just a name that was never supposed to make it to that mic. The stream cut to black.